Good morning. It's Ada Sparks here with a word of hope. I picked up this book over the weekend. I love picking up just random books that I can, just glean information from. And this one's all about the story of mankind, and it's all history and just look different information about history. And what I found interesting about it was it just kind of starts in the beginning. It has all these different interesting historical facts from the very beginning all the way till it was published 8 years ago. So it traces a long time. And so anyway, I'm sure you'll be hearing lots of different pieces of information from it. But on the very beginning, I said, what? Because it talks about the Big Bang Theory. And I was like, oh, here we go. And it says, energy was formed. It says space collided to produce the pure energy that ultimately formed matter and every species that ever lived, including us. What it fails to say is what caused that to happen. It's like they left out a little something. But what's great is that I have the other book that came before this book was written. And this book tells me what caused that to happen. Because this book says, in the beginning, before that book was written, God created the heaven and the earth. You see, that book is telling us that all of this was created. But it doesn't tell us who created it. It doesn't tell us how it was created. It just says, it happened. But this book tells us how it happened. And then what I love about the very first chapter in Genesis is that each couple of verses it says, and God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be firmament. And God said, let there be waters. And God said, let the earth be with grass. And God said, let there be lights. And God said, let the waters be moved. And God said, bring forth living creatures. You see, God's word is powerful. From the very beginning, God has been speaking things into existence. All he has to do is open his mouth and speak it, and it happens. And God is still speaking things into existence today. And if he has spoken a promise into your life, it will come to be. We don't know how long days were. They weren't the 24 hours that we have today. We don't know how long they lasted. And sometimes God's given us a promise and we think, why hasn't it come to pass? Because God's time is not limited to our time. If God said it, it will happen. It may just take a little longer than you think. Be wise, not afraid.